How was your week?
My week was all right. Not a whole lot to speak of, except for one incredibly important thing, which is I went with One Peach Saliva, of course, to see Sonic the Hedgehog on Valentine's Day.
Well, now.
Because that is the most romantic thing that you can do.
Big romance.
What did you do, Woolie? Did you go out and have a candlelit dinner or a walk on the beach or some other lame shit? No, you should have seen Sonic. Did you see Sonic on Valentine's Day?
I went to go see Sonic the Hedgehog alone.
That's on Valentine's Day?
No.
Okay.
I went this weekend, but I just went by myself.
Okay. Man!
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, aside from...
Nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. I never understood the what do you call it? The stigma against going to the movies by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I've gone to multiple movies by myself.
I haven't done it very often, but I've done it.
You hit that point where you're like, I would like to see a movie, and I know no matter who I dial in my phone, no one's going to want to come out to where I'm at and see a movie in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
So
I went to go see Swordfish alone.
Yeah.
I went to go see The World Is Not Enough alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay, those, yeah. I'm not surprised you saw those movies alone.
There was a couple others in there more recently.
I think I saw one Tarantino movie alone, but I can't remember what it was. You know, I forgot all about Sonic because all I can think about right now, for some reason, is the Olive Garden. I have this intense craving to go eat at the Olive Garden.
I mean, it is just coincidence, surely.
It must be a coincidence.
From last week, the bit till now became relevant. But yeah, so I mean, Sonic
loves the Olive Garden.
Here's how I feel about Sonic. Like I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm just gonna say that you know, I think it struck me as a perfectly serviceable kids movie.
Yep.
It was just fine.
Mm-hmm.
It hit me the exact same way that it hit Detective Pikachu, where I was just like, yeah, okay.
And
you did what you came to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was no real like pop off, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, that's it. That's the Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't, and in the same way, it didn't like err or flaw in any major ways.
There's one.
What I will say is, I think you know, the Jim Carrey did exactly what he was hired to do, to be the goofy,
be zany
exactly character. Okay. John Ralphio eventually warms up and does the job, right?
Okay.
But like, I do prefer old Sonic voice in general. I like that closer to Jaleel White sounding, nasally hedgehog voice. But he definitely like John Ralphio is doing the I'm annoying kind of character.
Sonic is
So
stupid. He is not intelligent.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he's not an intelligent hedgehog.
Well, he's not an idiot.
No, but he's not intelligent.
Yeah, he's just he raised himself and he's kind of just figuring it out.
Yeah,
so.
He's kind of awkward, really.
He's socially awkward.
Yes.
Socially awkward.
One
sure.
socially awkward hedgehog.
For given reasons.
Yes.
Right? And again, you'd also you know, you'd think that like, given the nature of like your ability to go places very quickly, that you would learn more about like your geography
or the whole planet.
Yeah, you'd think you'd cover everything about everything you needed to know, but he didn't do that. He decided to stay.
They do like so I would like to go on. It's like I think I like the movie a lot more than you did, and I think it's very much like Detective Pikachu in that it is a good baseline 6 to 7. It is a average to fine movie. And then your enjoyment will therefore be raised up based on how much you give a shit about Sonic minutia, in which there was a ton of just tiny little things, including some children's drawings and phrases.
There's references
that they went hard on.
They went very hard on memes. So you know when
they're
like
really old memes too, so they're not. You're not worried about them going out of style because they already went out of style.
So you know when like they're showing you like you know, like there's like the Earth, and then there's like the original sort of like Green Hills that he comes from, and all that stuff. Like when they're showing you all the other things, like was that like next one in line a reference in the obvious thought process?
Yes, I thought it was.
And then they just lean into it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was a reference then. Okay. Cool. They go into memes.
They get your what does Sonic eat correct?
Sure. Is there anywhere in like the comics or somewhere where like that there's an owl creature?
So I'm gonna have to check on that.
Gaybora.
I looked across at a Sonic aficionado during this film, and she looked at me and said, "Who the fuck is that?"
Okay.
So I'm gonna assume that's made for the movie.
And there's pieces set up obviously for like where like things you could do with the future of this if you want to make a franchise out of it.
Oh, I get a real strong suspicion from the end of this movie that they're planning sequels.
Within 5 minutes of the beginning, you can see them setting up like for what they want with the future, right? Like you know, from basically like the beginning of the movie is Baby Sonic basically. So like from everything with that, there's stuff there that's like obviously far-reaching.
Dropped and we're just ignored for the whole movie.
Pretty much. So, you know, otherwise, totally fine. And it focuses on him. The Marsden doesn't overshadow too much or whatever.
There's some weird stuff going on with him and his female co-host. Is that the
co-host?
Co-worker?
Wife?
The lady. I don't remember her name. All I can remember is Pretzel. Yeah.
Pretzel
lady.
So
Pretzel, she's great. I actually really love the bit
Storm.
where she's asking if she has stayed cool during the situation.
Yeah, very good. That was fun.
They have what I would call anti-chemistry in that every time that a couple in a kid's movie or whatever would like do a big hug and like a kiss or whatever, they just kind of like Marsden awkwardly puts his arm around her shoulder.
They kept it super platonic.
It's really weird.
They kept it super platonic, and I was paying attention to how platonic the couple felt. It's true. It's totally. I noticed that.
Sonic lives in a weird sexless universe.
Okay, there's one I like the keeping it cool was really funny. I enjoyed that, but like there was nothing. I just kind of smiled at the end of the day. There's only one part of this movie that I laughed at like out loud, and this is just like somewhere near the start, and it's just like basically there's a moment in which they like James and Sonic pull up to like a gas station that's next to a biker bar.
Yeah.
And you know, James is like, okay, I'm going to get some supplies. Stay in the car. Yeah. And then Sonic looks over and he sees like the biker bar, but it just happens to be the most hype poppin' biker bar ever.
It's so crazy because
it's
like
really
the gas
funny.
station is apparently across the street.
Yeah.
But the biker bar is so loud and there's so many flames and people like, riding sideways on them. Like how was this not visible?
It's a poppin' loud bonfire party out in the front of this biker bar.
It's a biker bar that the Terminator would look out of place going to because he would be afraid.
It is Roadhouse simultaneously, you know, like and Sonic is like, what the fuck? That's the coolest thing ever. And then he's like, nah, I can't. Looks away. And then he peeks back at it. And then it just, like, everyone is gathered around, like, two women arm wrestling. And, like, one of them slams the arm down. Everyone's like, yeah. And he's like, oh my God, they're having so much fun. No. And he looks away. And then 2 seconds later looks back.
And it's like, the third shot.
Someone's motorcycle is doing burnouts as he's surfing on top of it.
Yeah, he's surfing on the side of it. And the motorcycle.
And everyone's in a circle going, yeah. And it's so absurdly fun. It's like, why would this random biker bar have so much fun in
the
this
Pacific
one
Northwest, I might add.
No, like out of nowhere. And it was like, I fucking, like, that got me. That really got me. You know, every 2 seconds you look away and look back and everyone's loving it. So I was like, yeah, all right. That was really funny. And beyond that, you know, pretty straightforward.
I very much liked it. I got exactly what I wanted out of it, which was the middle of the movie drags a little bit, the road trip, but like there was not. We've watched a lot of video game movies, and the vast majority are you're resting in between hard cringing, right? You're sitting there just going, "Oh man, they're gonna do the thing. Ah, it's terrible," right? That didn't happen once to me. Instead, it was just whether or not this obscure like Sonic joke will land with the audience, and for me, they pretty much all did.
There's also the thought that comes in whenever you're reading like a Flash comic, for example, of just like, what's to stop this problem from being instantly solved? And
which becomes a problem for about 80% of the movie, because when it shows you how fast Sonic is, you're like, how does
well, a big one,
how do problems still exist on planet Earth?
Yeah. A big one is certainly, it's like, well, he's too small to carry a human being.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one thing. But
he's not physically like strong. He can't pick up more than maybe 30 pounds.
No. But then I guess like at some point where you're just like, okay, but like the idea of a car, it's like, what about learning the directions?
Here's a map, Sonic.
Here's a GPS.
Do you know how to read a map?
And then you're good to go. And like this entire road
that's
trip.
why the movie has an entire dedicated bit for as to why the movie doesn't get solved instantly, and why James Marsden has to go along for the road trip and have an adventure, because Sonic is not intelligent.
Yeah. And he's also a child, basically.
You know what? No, he is intelligent. Sonic totally taught himself how to read.
And he understands like references, and he's making like jokes about like The Rock
and the popular new dances
and he's doing
of the day.
He is doing a floss. He is flossing.
I got the feeling that Sonic was out of touch, which I thought was perfect. He's not quite as out of touch as I would have wanted.
No, but there's definitely at least a scene or two where he's kind of just like, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. And you're like, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think it's a bit weird to think too that like this is what brings Jim Carrey out of retirement.
Yeah.
It's so strange to think that was his pick.
And he'll be back, I'm certain.
But he also, like, not only was that his pick, but it's like, it was a pick that wasn't like, I'm going to do something way out of character that like the returning role usually would be.
No, he's a caricature. Ha 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 ha.
It's, I'm coming out of retirement for this, and I'm doing exactly what I was known for in the 90s.
Yeah.
And there's no
twist
to it.
He's an evil Ace Ventura.
Yeah. It's pretty like, wow, okay, I guess, I don't know. I you would expect him to come back and do I don't know, let's say a
23.
I was going to say what the fuck was that movie called? Well, the
give me any detail whatsoever.
The serious Adam Sandler movie where like he did a really good job before the
he was in an Adam Sandler movie?
No. Oh god damn it. It's the one where he's like in a relationship or he's trying to be, and he's just playing a serious role, and it's not a particularly funny movie. Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, that's okay. I thought you were like trying to list an actual Jim Carrey movie.
No. I was saying like when an actor that's known for comedy goes away and comes back and does something super
Well, that's
different.
why I mentioned 23, because that thing's a fucking mess.
There's that, right? Or more apt would be Uncut Gems. But anyway, that was he just came back and did what he was known for, and that was the thing. That was the job.
I was pleasantly surprised that despite the fact that he's great and I love Jim Carrey, he did not carry the whole movie on his shoulders.
Carrey didn't carry the whole movie.
I know, right? His name is a verb, so it's really easy. But like I was worried I was going to walk into a movie, and every time Sonic and James Marsden were on the screen, I'd want to put a gun in my mouth, and then you'd be like, oh, Jim Carrey's here to save the scene, and that was not the case. He actually comes down a bit to live in the same stupid world.
I mean, he has a couple of like one-liners that are like you know, like fun. But I was kind of also waiting to cringe really hard.
That's what I was talking about earlier. I was expecting some cringe.
And I did.
What cringed you out?
At the Flossin.
Yeah.
And then the Flossin Redux.
So that's because Sonic's out of touch and because we're out of touch.
No, I think by the time the animators were putting that into the movie, relevance was still high.
In fact, come to think of it, when did Shazam come out? Did that come out last summer?
I think it was a year ago.
Okay, I want to say Shazam came out last summer, early to that. Because Shazam had flossing, right? And this movie was supposed to come out last, September?
Yeah. Although...
Where flossing would have been closer to its relevance.
Shoutouts to that tweet that shows you the old horrible model as a painted stand-in. And then Tyson Hesse being like, but it was a fake campaign for marketing, though. And it's like, that was the dumbest thing to begin with. Like, the idea that it's like this was a fake thing that we're going to spend money on to drum up hype.
They could have bombed the movie outright.
And it's like, if they just went right to the model that they used in the beginning, it would have had nothing but goodwill the entire time.
Yep.
You know, people would have been a little bit weird about the fur part. But ultimately,
there's one bit in the movie where
would have been fine.
Where I want to say the specter of the nightmare Sonic remains, and it's really fucking awkward because you can't watch it and not know that's what's going on. There is a small bit in which Sonic gets a tiny bomb stuck to his glove in the movie, and there is a slapstick sequence
in which
they can't figure out how to get the tiny bomb off of his glove.
Yes, I was totally you're right.
And the reason why is because the whole scene must have been acted out and most of it done because it was stuck to his hand.
I was totally that 100% occurred to me when I watched it, and then I immediately forgot about it.
Right, but it's like this scene makes he's got a Looney Tunes glove on. Just pull it. Done.
Yeah.
But then we would have had to see his gross hand.
I honestly, I don't really have any complaints. I just kind of wish it was funnier. Like, I just wish the jokes landed a little bit better, but just not. You know, it's a vague. Well,
there's two things for that. It's no Pixar movie in terms of laughs.
How tight those laughs are.
But it would have hit harder for you if you were one, a child. Or two, a big Sonic fan.
But a good example in those Pixar movies is that those are children's movies where they're still legitimately hilarious and great. Like, I know that you can lower a lot of what you're supposed to expect if you're like it's a children's movie is definitely the broad blanket
and it's a good way to deflect criticism of something that sucks ass.
Right. But in this case, it doesn't suck ass.
No, it doesn't. It's fine to slightly above average.
But there are examples of children's movies where I'm like, that was fucking hilarious. And so I'm just simply commenting on that.
Now, being aware to say that it is fine to slightly above average, objectively, I freaking love that movie. We might actually go see it again. Because
there
was a bunch of stuff in it that just tickles something inside.
Okay, you reflect on your side.
There's a throwaway bit about Carl and the Blue Devil that they go back to a couple times that fucking cracked me up. I absolutely love everything about that fucking weird character, and I hope that character. I'm in the point where this dumb joke about Crazy Man. I'm like, man, I hope he gets more lines in the sequel. Because that would be great.
That would be.
Right? Just all the...
Yeah. No, that there's a lot... Those are bits that, definitely you could go back to and revisit for good shit. I'm
actually sitting in the theater going, oh, wow, they got that dumb meme in. Hooray! And then I clap.
Sure. Yep.
Obviously... we wanted to see slightly darker memes get in there.
Yeah, well,
but
come on.
it's not to
Shadow's
be.
not picking up a gun.
I'm talking about Sonic's weird balls, dude.
Okay, well, also James Marsden.
Come on, get with it.
James Marsden, as fine as it was, he also doesn't feel like a real person.
He is like. So you saw those
He's a reincarnated David Hasselhoff on Baywatch.
You saw those photos of like how cartoon sidekick in the car road trip is like a whole genre.
Yes.
One of which is actually also with James Marsden.
Yes.
He is like the platonic ideal of that person, in that he's not the shadow on the cave. He's like the ideal image, in that he is like not a human. He's
idyllic.
Just enough of a human to exist in the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But he is the Transformers Shia LaBeouf to hang out with Bumblebee.
Sure.
So that Sonic can have a character to talk to and who is normal.
Yes, he's NPC man.
Yes,
totally. And you feel that the whole way through.
And that him and his wife are the fucking ad vehicles really adds to that.
To the point where even when like there is conflict in his story, you don't believe it for a second.
Yeah.
You're like, he's going to be fine.
He's going to be...
There is not even remotely anything troubling.
There's a moment where he looks at a television and essentially sees that his entire life is over.
Basically.
And he goes, we'll figure it out. That's
exactly what I mean. Like, you're like, oh, you straight up just like, okay, this is all really bad. Nah, it's going to be fine. It'll be fine.
We'll figure it out once we get your rings, buddy.
And you know what? They got some nods, obviously nods to the games. Not overly doing it with the soundtrack, surprisingly.
The soundtrack there were 2 game remix.
They kept it restrained on that, which they didn't have to.
The second one near the end of the movie,
which
is a nice piano remix of Green Hills.
Yeah,
like I'll admit, I was like, oh, that's really nice.
And they found some really good excuses to do Sonic Adventure stuff, like a bunch of levels from Sonic Adventure, locations. And even like military general people.
Yeah.
Right? You found a way to work all of that stuff into this as well. So it's like, okay, you're grabbing your pieces here and there and you're making it all make sense.
There's a point in the game, in the movie where Sonic pulls out like an ancient map to look at, and I want to get a screen capture of that ancient map because every single thing on it was like
a thing.
Hey, do you want to go here in
Could
a sequel?
be a thing, yeah.
To the point where one of the things is like a sphere that's a checkerboard pattern.
Yeah.
And it's like the bonus stages are their own motherfucking planets.
I mean, so if you're making a movie nowadays and you don't want to overcommit, you do that, right?
Show one map.
You get that moment of like, just like, here's the fucking open possibilities, but don't worry about that, right? You hit the basement in Cabin in the Woods, right, so to speak. So anyway, that's otherwise though, totally fine. That's it, And
for a second, I was a little confused about the idea that the rings they travel you to different planets, and I'm like, oh wait, the bonus stages. That's totally what happened. You would jump in the big ring at the end of the level, and you go to the fucking bonus planet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
It's
totally
super established. Fun. Like fun. You know what's fucking awesome these days? Honestly, end credits are at an all-time high.
This
end credits
really everything
are peak, and ever since I remember Iron Man 1 opening credits, I was like, I want to get into titles. Like, I legitimately wanted to get into titles as a potential career.
Yeah.
Because that type of stuff is so much fun. And there's been so many good ones in a lot of movies recently that you just forget them.
Yeah.
But they're killer.
There's 2 things, because both the intro and the ending were one, the ending credits sequence, like you have the fancy one with all the important people on cast, which is the voice actors and the director and all that.
Match. Yeah.
before you get your teaser stinger for the next movie, which are great, by the way. I was very happy with both of them. It has fucking scan lines on your ending credits sequence. Like, they went through the trouble of putting scan lines over that fucking sequence.
Yeah.
But the Sega's new movie logo, where they go.
Yo, okay, so you know how Marvel started out really, really shy, and then slowly built up a confidence till their logo became that big 15-second or 20 seconds.
Zoom in on different movie moments.
Right. And then you get the stand version, and then like all these crazy. And then the final one for like Endgame was a minute long.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Sega
went right
away.
Right to the highest confidence.
And it was so confident that I got confused. Because it zooms out on
Sega.
It zooms out on Sonic 1 footage.
Really? On your first one?
And on the Sonic 1 footage, it zooms out, and I forget what's around it, but the game to its right is Altered Beast. Because what I thought they were doing is that it was going to be somebody playing a Sonic game as a little thing, but it zooms out, and then it zooms out a couple more, and my eyes turn to the left.
Yakuza.
Yeah, they turn to the left and up one, I think, and they zoom in on Kiryu's face in Yakuza 0 on a movie screen.
Yeah.
And that particular moment just like
Virtua Fighter beat spray painting a wall. Yeah. They just
I'm like, wow, Sega has a lot of great games that it's doing nothing with.
Well, let's be real. Those are the only times those characters can be on the main on a big screen. Come on. Nothing has that power. Right?
I had a moment in my mind where I'm like, oh man, wouldn't it be great if Sega did a Yakuza? Wait. That happened.
Was it a Japanese movie?
Ryuga no Gotoku or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a dragon.
Japanese movie?
Is totally a full feature-length Japanese film.
Of course it is, yes.
Directed by fucking Takeshi Miike.
There you go.
And it's terrible.
Yeah, you didn't even have to tell me that. But I was like, that's the type of thing where I'm like, of course that exists as a Japanese movie. Why wouldn't it?
There's a bit where Majima leans in a hallway, like past the edge of a thing to see, but he's doing with the fucking eye patch side.
Yeah.
And so,
listen, like we're not going to live in a world, we're not going to sit here and think like, oh man, though,
I am
Space Channel 5 movie, that's going to happen in this lifetime. Like, get the fuck out of here.
All right, so everyone, I want to put it down that Woolie has now said that a Space Channel 5 movie is not going to happen. I would love to see a fucking Space Channel 5 movie.
What I'm trying to say is that the obscure franchises that we like are not... They don't have big budget power to move to the fucking big screen.
Not like Sonic.
Right? Not unless they combined in a Wreck-It Ralph kind of way.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, look, there's Choo Choo Rocket in the background. Mm-hmm. Then yeah, totally, right? Yeah. But on their own,
can we get absurd. Sonic having like a Dreamcast in his little hedgehog cave on the sequel?
Think about how hype everybody got. That even bothered to that watched the what is it? I think it's like Sega Girls.
Yeah,
Sega Girls or Gaga Girls or whatever.
Or they hang out with Jeffrey.
And they hang out with Jeffrey McWild. And we're like, yo, that's Jeffrey McWild, and they're just hanging out with him, and we're like, yeah.
And all he does is,
right?
It's so fucking weird.
Totally. And we're like, yeah, this random little obscure short anime thing, like pulled in a Virtua Fighter reference. Like, fuck off with thinking, like, just let it. It's a logo, you know. But yes.
So the Sonic movie is average to good, depending on your Sonic taste, I'll say, right? Boy, and it's doing well too. It's doing quite well.
Doing better than Detective Pikachu did.
Detective Pikachu also came out in a really fucked up busy movie season, which I think it came out alongside like Endgame.
Yeah, what else is out right now?
Nothing.
Go see Parasite.
Okay. Yeah. Is that in theaters?
I think they got it. Yeah, they got a theater.
Okay. So Parasite and Sonic together.
Oh, Birds of Prey.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Sonic is ruining Birds of Prey. Did you see that?
I went to a Sonic movie.
I was
my
shocked
family.
at the amount of racist and homophobic slurs.
Someone grabbed my crib and did a stone cold stunner on it.
Dashed my baby on the rocks.
They poured Steve Weiser all over my child.
Thank goodness there was a new child for me in the Birds of Prey theater next door.
So I went there and claimed it.
You know what my favorite one of those fucking tweets is? My favorite one? I fell asleep during the Sonic movie and woke up to see my 3 boys were no longer in the theater. I found them in the next door Birds of Prey theater. Huh, thank goodness. And I'm like, that... It's like, because it's like kind of realm within the believability, and it's like, it's not like, oh man, Sonic's dropping hate speech.
I was trying to enjoy the Sonic movie, but as soon as I entered, I heard the Hedgehog shouting full-throated N-words at me. Right on the screen. Full-throated.
Full-throated
N-words.
What does that mean?
That means with minimum hesitation.
Oh, okay.
Maximum
it's not
stage
like,
voice.
It's not like bubbling out like, oh you look around.
Hard R stage voice.
Wow.
Speaking from the stomach.
Was Sonic singing along to rap music at this?
No, there was no music in sight. And thank God.
He just called Robotnik a full-throated N-word? Okay.
Thank God there was a Birds of Prey screening right next door with clean seats.
Very clean seats.